Shalom. Shalom and welcome. This is Man's Final Steps. It is a continuing series to those who would be among the ranks of the 144,000 and multitude. Today is February 6, 2014. This will be another multi-part message on this same segment. This segment is entitled Priority Sequence. This is part one of Priority Sequence. It will be, again, a multi-part message for the sake of time. This is part one. And we will address order of service as our beginning part to this multi-part message. My name is Symmanayah. Let us begin. My brothers and sisters, these messages are directed to all those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father Yahuwah. It is intended for those who have come to know Yahusha as Mashyach, as our Messiah, and recognize the Almighty Father sent His set-apart Spirit in Yahusha's name to teach us and bring things to remembrance, whatsoever He has told us. These messages are for those who understand the importance of a living fellowship with the Spirit of Yahusha. In this segment, entitled once again Priority Sequence, we will begin this multi-part message with order of service. I will attempt to highlight critical criteria regarding the unifying of a group whom we will come to know as the 144,000 and multitude mentioned in scriptures. Allow me to present the following. Relating to identity and individual structure. And Yahuwah Elohim formed man out of the dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. It is important that we understand in these earthen vessels we have a spirit. That spirit is the life that was breathed into this earthen vessel by the Almighty Father. Thus, a structure is presented. Thus, an identity of his creation has been established. Deuteronomy 8:3 says, And he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Yes, my brothers and sisters, every word, every living word. Acts 17th chapter, verse 24 through 29 reads, Yahuwah who made the world and all that is in it, this being master of heaven and earth, does not dwell in dwelling places made with hands, nor is he served with men's hands as if needing any, himself giving to all life, breath, and all else. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, having ordained beforehand the times and the boundaries of their dwelling, to seek the master, if at least they would reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and are, as also some of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. Now then, since we are the offspring of Elohim, we should not think that the Elohim is like gold, silver, or stone, an image made by the skill and thought of man. That was Acts 17th chapter, verses 24 through 29. 2 Corinthians 6:16 reads, And what union has the dwelling place of Elohim with idols? For you are a dwelling place of the living Elohim, as Elohim has said, I shall dwell in them and walk among them, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. I want to pause for a moment. I use the word Elohim. Many may be unaware that Elohim just basically describes the plurality, no Trinity, but to the plurality in which the Almighty Father established his plan to restore us into fellowship. The plurality of identifying how he, Yahuwah, Almighty Yahuwah, is spirit everywhere at all times. The plurality of knowing that Yahuwah's word was manifest in the flesh under the label Yahusha, under the name Yahusha, identifying this is indeed Yahuwah, word manifest in the flesh. The plurality mentioned where the set-apart spirit is sent in Yahusha's name, that the Almighty Father Yahuwah sent his set-apart spirit in Yahusha's name. Some process this and think it's a Trinity. There is no Trinity No such thing. Elohim just simply means the plurality of the Almighty One. So it means Almighty Ones. But it's described the plurality in the sequence of our relationship. Pray on this, my brothers and sisters. Ephesians 3:17 says that the Messiah might dwell in your hearts through belief, having become rooted and grounded in love. That was Ephesians 3:17. Colossians 3:16 say, let the word of Messiah dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing with pleasure in your hearts to the Master in psalms and songs of praise and spiritual songs. My brothers and sisters, it is important that we understand our identity and our individual structure. I will speak more on that as we press forward into this multi-part message. Fellowship and relationship. Matthew 12:48 and 12:49 and 12:50 reads as follows. But he answered, saying to the one who spoke to him, who is my mother? Who are my brothers? And having stretched out his hand towards his taught one, he said, see my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the desire of my Father, who is in the heaven, is my brother and sister and mother. So we have a relationship. We are a family of one, made possible by the Spirit of Yahusha. We are a family, a body of one with many members in different functions. And we are on a journey. This life, this relationship, this fellowship is a journey. Allow me to read Leviticus 18:4. It says, do my right rulings and guard my laws to walk in them. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Notice he said, my laws. We'll talk about that later on in this multi-part message. Leviticus 18:5 says, and you shall guard my laws and my right rulings, which a man does and lives by them. I am Yahuwah. Proverbs 7:2 said, guard my commandments and live, and my Torah as the apple of your eye. Mark 12:30 and 31 reads, and you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first command. Keep that in mind and say, this is the first command, to love your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first command. That's Mark 12:30. And I emphasize this. Keep in mind the title of this multi-part message, priority sequence. In other words, what comes first? Let us love Yahuwah, who is alive, who is functioning, who is living, who is the Almighty One. So many people get captured by the letter, disregarding that we serve a living Elohim. Mark 12:31 goes on to say, and the second like it is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other command greater than these. John 21:13 through 17 reads, Yahusha came and took bread and gave it to them, and the same with the fish. This was now the third time Yahusha was manifest to his taught ones after he was raised from the dead. When therefore they had eaten breakfast, Yahusha said to Simon Peter, or Shimon Kepha, son of Yonah, do you love me more than these? And he said, yea, master, you know that I love you. And then he said to him, feed my lambs. He said to him a second time, Shimon, son of Yonah, or Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me? He said to him, yea, master, you know that I love you. He said to him again, shepherd my sheep. And he said the third time, Shimon, son of Yonah, do you love me? Kepha was sad, or some may say Peter was sad, because he said to him the third time, do you love me? And he said to him, master, you know all. You know that I love you. Yahusha said to him, feed my sheep. Notice here, the matter of love was asked 3 times. This is a question we must ask ourselves and those who we find ourselves in company with. Do you love Yahusha? Do you love him with all your mind, body, and soul, with all your strength? Have you come to realize that Yahusha and Yahuwah are one? Yes, some may dispel that. I had an experience where one person said, well, how could Yahusha be Yahuwah if he died? Totally oblivious that the earthen vessel ceased to function for 3 days is what the term death meant in this regards. The spirit of Yahusha never ceased to function. While that body was in the grave, scriptures tell us that he went and conquered death. You see, my brothers and sisters, so many think that when we say he was sacrificed, that he just ceased to function and then started functioning again after 3 days and 3 nights. Only the earthen vessel ceased to function. If we examine our own structure, when our earthen body ceased to exist, our spirits wait for the return of Yahusha. And it says the grave should give up those that are in it. You see, we fail to realize that the creation that we know as man, woman, and children, the earthen vessels may cease, but the spirit will live on, either on to righteousness with Yahusha in his reign, or on into damnation to eternal judgment. It is important that we understand these things. Then we may just be able to come to grips that Yahusha is Yahuwah manifest in the flesh, his word made flesh. We may just be able to embrace that they are one. We may just be able to embrace that Yahusha is a name that identifies Yahuwah's salvation, and it identifies us recognizing the process in which the plan of the Almighty was established in order that we may be restored into fellowship with him. 1 Corinthians 4:20 says, for the reign of Elohim is not in speech, but in power. It's not in speech, but in power. So many people talk and say they can prove this and they can prove that, and so many people try to use the academic prowess or skills when it comes to speaking or language, trying to convince and influence. Some are successful, some are not. But it is not about words. It is not about speech. It is about the actions, for actions speak louder than words. So I tell you, I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, what do our lifestyles project? Let those who witness us testify of what they see one towards another. But know this, the reign of Elohim is not in speech, but in power. It is in our actions, the actions that are guided by the Spirit of Yahusha. 2 Corinthians 3:6 says, who has also made us competent as servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit, for the letter kills and the Spirit gives life. It is so important for us to understand the author, have a relationship with the author of the inspired word, for he indeed will explain to us, define to us, show us, make alive his written words, his written intent. Notice how in the time when Yahusha came across the Pharisees and they were debating on Shabbat, and he told them Shabbat was made for man, not man for Shabbat. He, the author, explaining what position the Shabbat had to his creation. All too often there are brothers and sisters who try to grab the word in the scriptures and run with it and master it and think that they have mastered the life that Yahusha offers. I submit to you, he offers a life immeasurably. Who has read a passage of scripture over and over and over again and experienced a rushing effect where you've gotten something different each time, one building on the other, something that joins hands with the other? Who has witnessed scriptures where you can read over and over, and as it is illuminated, magnified, and made alive by the Spirit of Yahusha, you get something even more contributing to the strength of your worship and your fellowship? Think on these matters, my brothers and sisters. I invite you to pray on this message. Seek to discern whether or not these are righteous and living words. I submit to you, the most common conversation among those who have come into the truth are centered around the following matters. the true name of the Almighty Father, Yahuwah and Yahusha, our Mashyach. The true identity of the banner of Yahuwah's children, Yasharal, commonly referred to as Israel, our true identities. The Ten Commandments, the laws, which many have embraced the preference of using the word Torah over the word laws. The Shabbat, the new moon, the feast days, head coverings, tassels versus fringes, dress and attire. Whether or not we must learn what is perceived to be the original Hebrew or Abari language or not. What's in store for us during these end times and many more concerns permeate our minds, bodies, and souls as we press forward with much uncertainty. I present to you, my brothers and sisters, the Almighty Father will send His living leaders, His presenters, His teachers, His elders, His counselors, to make clear the oneness in each of these things that I've just mentioned, so that we will come to know righteously what must be done. I will present more on these in separate recordings, but for the sake of time, as for now, I submit to you, we will witness answers to each of these, provided in a way rarely discussed among those who would consider themselves followers of Yahusha Mashyach, our Messiah. In the coming days, we will witness proof, reproof, instructions, living guidance on what we must do to be brought together as one. We will come to establish on the forefront priorities necessary for building a unified body of believers. Those who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father through the living relationship with Yahusha, our Mashyach, our Messiah. While there are many things which contribute to our divide, those who are foretold in scriptures that will be among the children of obedience, who will come out of the great tribulation, will know what it is to be among established unity. The Spirit of Yahusha will present to us a priority sequence and the order of service for His chosen people. We will come to identify the process with clarity. We will know how to guard His commands and His set-apart days and His laws. We will come to know with proof. We will see righteous leaders chosen by the Spirit of Yahusha executing all that is necessary to bring about the unity amongst the children of obedience. End times are here. We will no longer continue in the vein of business as usual. Our day-to-day routines will be disrupted, and we will be refined, those who will be among the ranks of the children of obedience. Are you ready for marching orders? Are we ready? Have marching orders reached our face as of date? There are living instructions among us. Who is able to discern and understand? There are promises made in many other scriptures to be fulfilled, all while the time has been shortened. Pray, watch, study, and stay tuned at this multi-part segment focusing on priority sequence, for this will be the mechanism to bring about the unity among the chosen. Stay tuned as critical information is presented in the continuation of this multi-part segment as we consider the need to focus on priorities and move with precision according to the living guidance of the Spirit of Yahusha. Continue to stay tuned as this multi-part series continues. Once I am done with this multi-part series, it will be 8 parts to it. I will create it in a playlist. Until next time, stay tuned. Shalom, shalom, shalom.